Hello, today we're going to be doing lesson 2 of the College of Piping's Green Book, and the theme today is Gracenotes. If you listen to a song being sung or a tune being played on the violin or perhaps piano, you will notice that there is considerable effect attained by varying the loudness of different notes and on emphasizing them. It is impossible to do this on the practice chanter or the bagpipe. We can, however, emphasize a note in piping by playing a very short note in front of it. This note is called a grace note. So if you were to listen to the tune that you're going to be learning in one of the future lessons called Scots Wi Hae, without the grace notes and with the grace notes, you can decide for yourself which one is better. So here it is without. Okay, same tune with the grace notes. So without the grace notes, it doesn't quite sound, in my opinion, to have the same quality. It sounds a bit monotone. So grace notes are used to separate two of the same note when played one after the other. If you were asked to play two low Gs, you'd probably blow a low G, then take a breath and blow another low G. This is the method used for separating the notes in other instruments like brass instruments, the trumpet, etc. When playing the bagpipes, the flow of air to the reeds is continuous, so we use a grace note instead. Grace notes are produced in many ways, but the main ones we use are the G, D, and E. So I've written them here. So this is the G, this is how it appears on our stave. This is the D, and this is the E grace note. So just to show you the grace note. So a G, if you were to play on the low G, the G grace note is obviously the high G finger, and that sounds like this. Just do that again for you. Okay, so you can see it. To make that grace note, I'm just very quickly moving the G up and down in one movement, not taking the finger more than maybe a centimetre off the chanter. Similarly, the D grace note is with the D finger, so that would be again. Also, you can do it on the E. And if you were to play all three together on the low G, that would sound. Okay. We will tackle using grace notes to change from one note to the other in lesson 3. If you look at the back of the book on page 62, you will see that there are a full set of scales that you can use, and I use these every day with my band and as a solo player just to warm up as well. You can see that on page 62. So you have all of the exercises there that you can use. And then once you advance, there are some further ones on page 63 as well. But let's start so you would by the end of lesson 3, you should be able to play all the exercises on page 62. To use the Gracenote to separate two notes, such as the low G, this is how it would be written on the stave. So you can see there's the low G, and then there's a Gracenote separating the next low G. So in a normal instrument, you would do this, you would go, so you would take a breath, but we obviously can't do that because the air flowing over the reeds in the bagpipe is continuous. So in order to do that, to sound that, this is how it would sound. It would be, so that would be using a G Gracenote to separate the two notes. So taking that to the next stage, you can use obviously a G, then a D, and then an E Gracenote to separate these low G's here. Okay? And that would sound something like this. Just once more. So you can see I'm moving, sound the G, the low G, then I make the high G Gracenote, the D, and then the E, all while keeping my fingers on the chanter to sound the low G. Usually we'd make the first Gracenote as we start to blow. So you should try this a few times so that you find it quite simple. Move the G finger in a short Gracenote and blow at the same time. So you would do this. Again. Okay, so it's the first thing that you would hear as you start to play. Okay. This means that we miss out the first of the 4 G's shown below here. Okay, on the board. So if we're to play, I've grouped 9 low G's, all separated by the G, D, and E, G, D, and E, G, D, and E Gracenotes. So that would sound like this. Okay, do that one more time for you. Okay, so you can practice that. Notes, of course, are not just used on the low G as we see here, but also on low A, B, C, and pretty much on all of the notes of the chanter, as you will see. So, just to summarise, on low G, that would sound. On low A, that one there, okay, that would sound. On low B, and then on your C, so what you need to do now is practice these slowly and many times so that you get used to them. Remember that the time taken in playing a Gracenote must always be much less than the time you give to the note itself, even when you're playing slowly. Gracenotes can never overlap one another. Okay? So that's the end of the second lesson. Keep practicing lesson 1, all of the little things you have there, all the little exercises, and now try these exercises on lesson 2 before proceeding to the next lesson, lesson 3. Thank you very much, and good luck.